Thanks so much for watching. I think you're going to love this sourdough cinnamon bread recipe. It goes great with a cup of coffee in the morning. As you can see, as I start to put this dough together, I'm using a plant-based butter and flax milk. And I did that because I wanted the dough a little bit more dense. You could use butter and milk, but I think it would make the dough a little bit softer. And I had an idea that I was going to do. And when I sat down and started to write this recipe, I said, what do I want this thing to end up like? I had this taste in my mouth for a cinnamon roll, but I didn't want a cinnamon roll. I didn't want it too sweet. I didn't want it real soft or flaky, and I wasn't going to glaze it. I wanted it more like a bread. I wanted to have it dense. I don't know about you, but for me, making dough is therapeutic. I can't get enough of it. Just getting my hands in there and mixing things up, it's a lot of fun. So let me tell you about this cinnamon bread a little bit. You know, when I had the idea of what I wanted to make, I had to, you know, when you create a recipe, you kind of start backwards. You start at the end, and then you have to figure out, okay, what do I want it to be like? It's almost like painting a picture. You have to know what the picture is going to look like in the end, and then you have to go buy all the paints and all the tools that you need. Well, kind of the same thing for this recipe. I wanted to have this thing be round, and I wanted, when it was done, I could see it being cut into 8 equal shapes, and I wanted each slice to have a little cinnamon roll coming out the edge of it, like it had almost popped out. I thought that could be fun. And then you could serve 1 or 2 slices, and you could serve it with whatever you really want to serve it with. You know, if you want to drizzle a little glaze over it or maple syrup or anything like that, that's fine. Or just brush it with a little butter. It's wonderful just like that. So I had to figure out how much dough I needed, how to shape the dough, how many balls I needed. And as you watch this video, you'll see how my brain started working. I had to figure out what size I had to roll the dough balls out to and all that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of fun for me. I mean, I love it. And sometimes I have this idea for a recipe. Oh, I know it's going to work. I know it's going to work. I might think about it for a month, and then I make the recipe, and it doesn't work. So I have to remake it, and then maybe I have to remake it again. Well, this one, I can guarantee you, this is a wonderful recipe. If you make this sourdough cinnamon bread, you're going to love it. I guarantee you. It's a great gift, too. It makes a great gift. Right here in the video, I thought I'd show you how I make a parchment paper circle. It's a pretty quick way. It might not be perfect, but it's perfect for this recipe. Now, back to this recipe. You know, as I thought about it, when you eat monkey bread or other breads like that that pull apart, they're fun. They're fun for people to eat. And this one, I wanted to have a cinnamon roll effect all throughout the bread. And when you pull it apart, I wanted it to come different directions. So I had to think, you know, maybe I'll make some cinnamon roll logs and roll them up, kind of spiral them, and put them in the bread. So when you cut it, you have things at an angle. Then I'll put a bottom to it and put some cinnamon and sugar on there to put this log on there. And it was a lot of fun creating it. You're going to see, as I start to roll out this dough, what I was thinking about. If you ever sit down and try to create a recipe, I really recommend working with grams instead of ounces. It just makes it easier for multiplying the recipe out. And, you know, instead of showing 1 or 1 1/4 ounces, you know, in 1 ounce there is 28.3495 grams. So it's just a little bit more detailed. The scale I was using, and potentially the scale you have at home, if you turn it over, there's a little switch on the back that you can go from ounces to grams. This dough is really a pleasure to work with. You don't have to sprinkle any flour on the board. If you're rolling it out and it starts to stick, just take your bench scraper and scrape underneath it and just get it a little bit loose. It shouldn't stick, but if it does a little bit, just use the bench scraper. If you're doing the math on this recipe, you might see, oh, he didn't use all his brown sugar and cinnamon mix. Well, I didn't, but that doesn't mean that you can't. I wanted the bread sweet, but I didn't want it too sweet. But you could put all of this cinnamon sugar mix in your bread, and you can spread a little bit more on each roll as you make it. I just wasn't looking for that real sweet effect, and I wanted something that went perfect with my coffee in the morning. Now you may be thinking, oh, this is a lot of work to make this cinnamon bread. And it does take a little bit of time, but it really is enjoyable. If you don't want to make it the way I made it, it's no problem. You can take this recipe, because this bread recipe, believe me, the denseness and it's just a great bread. You may be thinking, oh, maybe he should have shaped it like this, or I would like to shape it like that. Hey, you know what? You can shape it however you want. And if you do make it and you shape it a different way, send me a picture of it. I'd love to see how your brain works. Personally, I think if you're going to have kids help with this, it's the perfect recipe, because there's so many different processes and techniques going on. It's just a lot of fun. You get to roll things up, you get to make a dough ball, you get to roll the cinnamon roll log and form it inside. You cut the dough for the top like I did here and tuck the little cinnamon rolls in so they're sticking out. It's a lot of fun. While this video finishes up, I'd like to take a moment to thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like this video and you would like to see more videos, hit like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy.